Chapter 16. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of clattering plates. Everyone had finished eating and had started to clear the table. I quickly got up to help. I hadn't ever been a guest in another home before, but I was determined to be a helpful guest, especially after the unprecedented meal I had just eaten. As Colette was stacking plates to take to the kitchen, I decided to gather the empty glasses. We took them all to the kitchen, where Mrs. Morrill was filling a sink with soapy water. I carefully set the glasses on the counter and asked,
"Can I help wash the dishes?"
"I'll take what help I can get."
She washed a plate, gestured to the other sink, then handed me the plate to rinse and place in the drying rack.
If only my own offspring were all so dedicated to helping out.
It isn't every day I get to have a meal like this, and I would like the chance to show my gratitude.
Believe me, dear, I understand. As much a blessing as it is to have guests to entertain, it can be an equal pleasure to bless those who host. The whole world around the great sea has known for time without memory how important it is to show hospitality to strangers.
For in doing so, some have entertained angels without knowing it. Sorry.
It's quite all right. I do suppose that's the saying in many parts. I would dare to extend that by saying one's hosts could be more than they seem, or anyone for that matter. Stories without count have been told about the old Greek and Roman gods and goddesses masquerading as men and women, getting up to all sorts of mischief.
She trailed off when she noticed the blank, confused look on my face as I held the current plate under the water far longer than necessary.
I take it you've not heard any such stories?
No, madam. Sorry.
Well, that's no reason to be ashamed. Some families value different parts of an education more than others. Frankly, I was quite surprised to learn that you spoke French so well. Louise says you're quite dedicated to learning.
I've also been taught Spanish, and have been working on that mostly with my mother.
Well, that is even more surprising, but I would wager those language skills will come in handy more often in your life than knowledge of old stories.
Maybe. But I would be curious to hear some of those stories you mentioned. I've read about some aspects of Greek and Roman history, but never anything about their stories.
I would guess that's probably because those stories are considered to be mythology. They could be true, or not. It all would have happened so long ago that nobody knows for sure anymore. I hear from Marie that you've also a pretty hand for drawing, even with a crayon.
Drawing is something I haven't done in a long time. I did when I was younger, but my parents discouraged me, so I decided to try other things. I would like to draw more, though.
She turned to look at me, absent-mindedly washing the glass in her hands for at least half a minute before handing it to me. Her steady gaze unsettled me. I felt as though she knew exactly what I was thinking and feeling, and everything that I had gone through in life, just by looking into my eyes. Moments later, she was finished washing. After I had rinsed and racked the last dish, she wiped her wet hands on her apron, turned around, and leaned back against the counter on the other side of the sink.
We've all been given gifts, haven't we? A gift is a strength we're born with, or one we grow into. We can develop these gifts, or we can ignore them. But understand this. Gifts are a part of who you are, Corban. If you try to ignore who you are, you'll never be fully satisfied with life. If you're seeking your purpose in life, your gifts are a good place to start.
My parents had always said I, as a person, was a gift from the Creator, but had never quite explained that as well.
How? How will I know what these gifts are?
I suddenly felt panicked, as if I had just been given an all-important secret to life, but couldn't quite grasp its meaning.
Gifts show up at different times and places, often unexpectedly. Oddly enough, others seem to be able to see gifts in ourselves better than we can. Or perhaps that's just how the Creator intended it to be.
I think you've been given the gifts of cooking and hospitality. I'll bet you could make anyone feel at home here.
Her laughter in response startled me for a second.
Thank you for that. Yes, I do seem to have the gift of hospitality. As far as cooking goes, I believe there's no reason to waste the food or the effort if the cuisine doesn't taste great.
After the meal you just served, I can see that. My parents.
If your parents have something to hide, that's their issue. If it affects your feelings, you have the right to express them in whatever way you need to. After all, you're growing into your own person. Soon you'll be an adult who must make decisions for himself.
Even with her encouragement, I hesitated for a few moments before she continued.
Tell me, or don't tell me, it's up to you. But if you're worried about me repeating your words to someone else, you have nothing to fear. I would never betray your confidence, unless someone was in danger.
That was exactly what I had feared. Not that I was betraying my family by talking about them, but that they would somehow find out. The welcoming atmosphere of the Moral House had convinced me this was a safe place to share.
It's just, as far as food goes, they believe it's simply to provide us with energy to do the things we need to do. I suppose they feel similarly about music and art. The music they play in services is painfully simple. I even tried to add layers to it, and they asked me to stop. The art, it brings up feelings in others that are better left alone. I'm to focus on preparing to be a cleric.
It seems to me that prospect doesn't seem like something you look forward to.
I had never before considered if being a cleric was what I wanted to do. Want had never been part of the picture when thinking about my profession in life. In fact, I couldn't recall thinking about the future at all. It seemed my parents had it all planned out for me, so why should I give it any thought? The drawing and the music, I thought. Are these gifts I've been given? Natural abilities I've been suppressing? I had to admit that it had been a long while since I had gone over to the chapel to practice the organ and singing, even before I had started going to public school. Suddenly a worry entered my mind that I couldn't shake. What if these gifts go away because I haven't been developing them? What if I have other gifts I've been suppressing?
What if everything they've taught me is wrong?
Only the sharp intake of breath from Mrs. Morrell made me realize I had whispered this last thought aloud.
Whoa, hold on a minute.
She was almost shouting, holding up a hand with the palm facing me, as if physically barring me from going somewhere. Marie even wandered into the kitchen wearing a quizzical look.
I'm not saying that, and I don't think that's anywhere near the case. Your parents have good reasons for the way they've raised you, I'm sure. If you're transitioning into public school as well as you are after so long without, it's plain to see they've taught you well. I'm only saying that you need to start thinking for yourself about the life you want to live. And never you mind about however many generations of clerics have been in your family. If our Father and Creator wants there to be a cleric at that chapel after your father, He'll provide one, whether it's you or someone else.
So, what should I do?
I still felt lost.
I'm not saying you should do anything. Not yet, anyway. I'm saying you should look at life differently. Think things through. Learn to question why things are the way they are. whether you actually ask those questions aloud or not. I'm assuming your parents probably don't have much patience for such questions as far as they concern your future as a cleric.
I considered her question, then nodded. Just then, a distant chapel's bells rang. 3rd hour.
I need to be going home soon, ma'am.
I understand, really, I do. I think you should come around more often, Corban. You could spend more time drawing with Marie, practice your French with all of us, hear some stories from ancient times. I could even show you some things about cooking if you wanted. Would you like that?
I stood there speechless, feeling like she had just offered me 1,000,000 pesetas. I also felt an unknown emotion, one I had great difficulty identifying. It felt like either my heart was breaking, or it was filled with great joy. Or maybe it was both at the same time.
Nothing in the whole world would make me happier, but I don't know if I could come over more often than Sundays. Mother and father keep me pretty busy at home and chapel when I'm not at school. Maybe I could come over on some Saturdays as well. But Henri?
What about Henri?
Henri didn't seem like he really wanted me to come over today.
She looked at me for a moment, then nodded slowly.
Henri has been rather moody lately. I'm concerned it's due to Monsieur Morel's increasing time spent at work. There's been a lot more interest in building ships over the past few years.
She paused, still frowning. Then she shook her head.
Don't you worry about him. If he doesn't feel like spending time with you, we have plenty of other things to keep you occupied.
She gave me a reassuring smile.
So what do you say, Corban? Same time next Sunday, right after you check the orange trees?
It would be my pleasure, Madame Morel. I hope La Toussaint continues to be pleasant for you and your family. Au revoir.
I walked through the dining room, then into the living room. Louis was sitting in a large, comfortable chair in the corner, reading a slim novel. I decided not to interrupt his reading. Colette was colouring with Marie at the table, and I could see that my drawings still lay on the corner.
Goodbye, Colette. Farewell, Marie. Louis, I hope to see you all next week.
Each of them looked up and smiled at me.
Goodbye, Corban.
Colette waved the hand that didn't hold a crayon. Marie dropped her crayons to the table, stood up and ran over to me. I barely had time to crouch down to her level before she embraced me.
Goodbye, Corban. Thank you again for the drawing. I'm going to ask if I can hang it in my bedroom. Maybe we can color more next time you come.
It was my pleasure, Marie. I hope for that as well. Until then.
As I was slipping on my shoes, I realized I hadn't said much of anything to Henri throughout the whole visit. I called up the stairs.
Goodbye, Henri. See you Tuesday.
No reply came, not that I expected any. My thoughts consumed me all the way home.
Still have plenty of time before service, I thought. But what do I say when I get home? Do I tell the truth, or make up an excuse for being gone so long? I could say anything about what we needed to do for our scientific observations.
In the end, I decided to tell them the truth. I could only hope that they wouldn't restrict my activities in response, as they had done in the past.